Famous, infamous, or both? You decide. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 cursed movies. For this list, we'll be ranking films that featured production issues of the most severe variety, to the point where their legacy could be considered cursed. We're not talking about personnel squabbles or financial issues, but rather serious accidents, mysteries, or tragedies that happen either on the set or after the fact. We're not going to be referencing the curse that supposedly follows actors who have portrayed Superman, however, as that deals with a character rather than a specific film.
God, look up there!
What the hell's that?
Easy, miss. I've got you.
If you like what you're hearing, be sure to check out the full song at the link below.
Number 10. Wizard of Oz. Okay, let's first address the elephant in the room. The Wizard of Oz is not considered cursed because an actor's suicide was supposedly caught on screen.
If ever a wizard was, the Wizard of Oz is one because.
That's just a famous urban legend. What is true, however, is that there were enough on-set accidents to lend the Wizard of Oz its own cursed reputation.
You cursed brat! Look what you've done! I'm melting! Melting! Oh, what a world! What a world! Who would have thought a good little girl like you could destroy my beautiful wickedness?
For starters, actors Buddy Ebsen and Jack Haley both suffered severe reactions to the makeup for the Tin Man, while Margaret Hamilton, aka the Wicked Witch of the West, endured life-threatening burns during her big disappearing act early on in the film. Not even poor little Toto was safe, as an on-set trainer reported that one of the witch's foot soldiers accidentally stepped on the dog during a take. Number 9. Passion of the Christ.
Papa, kuulet kehu. Enkä hel. Kastigete mini.
Getting struck by lightning is never a good sign, but what if you also happen to be portraying Jesus Christ in one of the most controversial movies of the year? This indeed happened to Jim Caviezel on the set of Passion of the Christ, as well as the assistant director on the film who got zapped twice. Then there were the reported accidents associated with the scourging and crucifixion of Christ, which saw Caviezel get accidentally whipped for real by a co-star, endure a dislocating shoulder from carrying the cross, a lung infection from the weather, and massive migraine headaches from the bloody eye makeup. We're not saying that Caviezel and crew were cursed, but we might reconsider doing any more shoots out in the rain for an upcoming sequel.
Klala, Senkol, Hand, Khalil, Khalil, Kidra, Khalil, Kidra, Khalil.
Number 8. The Crow. The Lee family curse was nothing new when the Crow star Brandon Lee tragically died during filming as a result of an improperly loaded gun.
I felt how awful goodness. I felt how awful goodness.
Rumors had already surrounded the death of Lee's father Bruce years before, with some claiming that his demise at the young age of 32 was a result of a beef with Chinese organized crime families. Sadly, Brandon's on-set accident wasn't the only mishap to happen on the Crow's set, as a crew member was horribly electrocuted and rushed to the hospital after coming into contact with power lines. Although we'll never know what Brandon Lee could have achieved after his career-defining appearance in The Crow, his silver screen legacy is at least cemented alongside his father's for all time. Number 7. The Omen. It's not difficult to imagine the sort of heebie-jeebies that filmmakers probably experienced shooting The Omen back in the mid-70s.
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you.
After all, it was Satan's big moment in the sun, after the success of Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist made everyone terrified of what was lurking in the dark.
All right, let's see what keep away! The soul is mine!
Some very real incidents surrounded production on The Omen. However, from the pre-production suicide of Gregory Peck's son to some serious airline issues, like lightning strikes to the fatal crash of a small plane carrying film crew. Finally, special effects lead John Richardson, who was responsible for the film's infamous beheading scene, was involved in a tragic car accident after shooting The Omen, where his passenger, assistant, and girlfriend Liz Moore suffered the same grisly fate.
The poem when the Jews returned to Zion. And there was something about a comet.
Yes, that's here too. A shower of stars and the rise of the Roman Empire. Well, these are supposed to be the events that signaled the birth of the Antichrist. The devil's child.
Number 6. Apocalypse Now. The next movie on our list is A Case of Time being The Great Equalizer.
Saigon. Shit. I'm still only in Saigon.
That's because nearly everyone making Apocalypse Now seemed almost certain that their time in the jungle was cursed. So troubled and dangerous was this film's production. Although Francis Ford Coppola's war epic is now considered one of the greatest cinematic achievements ever, the director allegedly contemplated suicide over thoughts of his personal financial ruin.
It's impossible through words to describe what is necessary to those who do not know what horror means.
Natural disasters destroyed pricey sets. Marlon Brando showed up unprepared and overweight for his role, while Martin Sheen even suffered a freaking heart attack during his time on set. Sure, it's all gravy now, but we're guessing that being in the thick of Apocalypse Now was anything but fun.
Even the jungle wanted him dead. And that's who he really took his orders from anyway.
Number 5. Twilight Zone the movie.
You unlock this door with a key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind.
On-set accidents are never easy to discuss, but they're made even more tragic when they have to do with young children. Unfortunately, one infamous stunt gone wrong would go on to define this otherwise highly anticipated 1983 blockbuster, The Twilight Zone, the movie.
Told you guys we shouldn't have shot Lieutenant Niedermeyer.
The incident occurred during director John Landis' segment where actor Vic Morrow and 2 child actors were killed when a helicopter sequence went horribly wrong. Both of the children were paid under the table and hired without the required permits for shooting at night with minors. But the tragedy did have a silver lining. It prevented the curse of gross negligence from afflicting more films in its wake, as more shoots were required to have risk management on set to prevent these accidents in the future.
It is sometimes said that where there is no hope, there is no life. Case in point, the residents of Sunnyvale Rest Home, where hope is just a memory.
Number 4. The Conqueror.
I share your taste in women, Targetai, but not in blood. Farewell, Tartar woman.
Speaking of negligence, 1956's The Conqueror might be the most cursed movie of all time, at least when it comes to absolute stupidity. Ignoring for a moment that John Wayne was cast to play, of all people, Genghis Khan.
Know this, woman. I take you for a wife.
The Conqueror was also inexplicably shot on land that was formerly the site of U.S. nuclear bomb tests, meaning that there were extremely high levels of fallout present. What's worse, producer and noted eccentric Howard Hughes had tons of the contaminated dirt shipped stateside for reshoots. The results weren't immediate, but they were widespread and deadly, with nearly half of the film's cast and crew ultimately contracting cancer. There are even some reports of relatives and children contracting the disease some decades after visiting the location with their parents.
Come, my mother, work your healing on this.
Would that I could cure the madness that possesses you.
Number 3. Rosemary's Baby. We've already mentioned the devil earlier in this list, but did Old Nick himself actually curse the production of Rosemary's Baby?
His power is stronger than stronger. His might shall last longer than longer. Yes, Satan!
No!
There's definitely some evidence to that, starting with the film's composer Christoph Komeda, who suffered a bad fall and died before seeing the film's release. Producer William Castle suffered from kidney stones not long after Rosemary's Baby hit screens. But it's writer-director Roman Polanski whose personal reckoning was most infamous.
This is no dream. This is really happening.
The Hollywood pariah's wife Sharon Tate would become the most high-profile victim of the Manson family during their killing spree in August of 1969, serving as the unfortunate face of madness and murder during the Summer of Love.
Maybe all this is coincidence, but one thing is for sure. They have a coven and they want my baby.
Number 2, The Exorcist.
Damien!
Amen.
God, defender of the human race! Oh, look down in pity!
We'll probably never again see the sort of hysterical reactions The Exorcist enjoyed when it first hit theaters back in 1973. The movie continues to be cited as a gold standard for the horror genre, however, bringing with it rumors of a supposed curse that swirled around production, cast, and crew. Looking for specifics? Take your pick. From a fire that destroyed nearly every set except for Regan McNeil's bedroom, on-set injuries suffered by stars Linda Blair and Ellen Burstyn, and a real-life murder charge in 1979 for actor Paul Bateson, who played a radiological technologist in the film. The Exorcist is full of creepy coincidences. Then again, when you're dealing with the devil, you take your chances playing with fire.
The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
Before we get to our number 1 pick, here are a few honorable mentions that could have benefited from having an old priest and a young priest on set to bless production. Return to Babylon, for potentially capturing paranormal phenomena on film. Incubus, True Crimes Galore, and Esperanto.
Estas laca altere, mad bonina kacha, nani mine alla infero. Kielni Davis Chavidi, tente ili trovus sian propan voyan alla cloaca telinte.
The Innkeepers. Is the Yankee Peddler Inn really haunted?
This is very important to me. I came a long way.
The Possession, for on-set accidents and possible arson.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1, Poltergeist Original Trilogy. Did the use of real human skeletons during the filming of 1982's Poltergeist result in a curse that would follow the franchise and those involved with it to the bitter end? We're not sure, but what's certain is that all 3 films from the original trilogy featured their fair share of tragedy. Dominique Dunn was murdered by her boyfriend after appearing in the first film, while young Heather O'Rourke, who played Carol Ann, died from complications following an undiagnosed bowel obstruction some years later. Julian Beck's horrific preacher, Reverend Cain, also died from stomach cancer after filming and before the release of the 1986 sequel, Poltergeist 2: The Other Side, adding further fuel to the conspiracy fire that continues to follow the Poltergeist franchise to this day.
Are you lost, sweetheart? Are you afraid, honey? Well, why don't you come with me? All right. I'll sing you a song.
Do you agree with our picks? Let us know in the comments. And hey, if you're a fan of the song playing right now, be sure to check out the music video for it right here.